Next up is our segment that we call Best Thing of the Week, and each week It's Happening Out celebrates great things in our community, and the Best Thing of the Week is sponsored by Israel's national airline, El Al. El Al was born in 1948 with the state of Israel and an expression of national existence and pride. And this pride is self-evident in South Florida. El Al features nonstop service from Miami to one of the world's great LGBTQ plus destinations. That's Israel. And this fall, El Al will connect the two LGBTQ plus capitals, Tel Aviv and Fort Lauderdale, with seasonal service, and next spring adding extensive flights. And that's why El Al sponsors the Best Thing of the Week. So actor and comedian Marlon Wayans has melted the hearts of parents everywhere with his recent comments on having a transgender son. While promoting his new comedy special in which he discusses his son's transition, Wayans spoke on the Breakfast Club radio show about learning to embrace his son for exactly who he is. He emphasized that the most important thing is that his kids are happy. He said he knows he doesn't always get the pronouns and words right, but that his son loves him for doing his best.
My nigga, I'm still working on the pronouns.
The Best Thing of the Week is Marlon Wayans shows support for his trans son on The Breakfast Club. What does everybody think?
I love it. I love that he is quite supportive, even though it's so unexpected for him, and that he obviously had a lot of trouble with it, and he still expresses that, but he's just choosing what is best for his children. Mm-hmm. And I love that he's not letting society and peer pressure navigate him into doing a certain way, but that he really concludes that this is, who my children are, and I only want the best for my children, and that's a father right there.
We're everywhere. And that's something that we are trying to tell people everywhere, because we're everywhere. We didn't just, someone didn't invent gayness, the other day. We didn't just come up with extra letters. It's just the evolution of our community, right? So I love when a black cis man this happens to. Because when he talks on the mother effing Breakfast Club, people listen. Yes. A lot of those people that I did a radio show for the same company that the Breakfast Club is owned by, right? Most of those people don't know about pronouns. Most of those people don't want to know about pronouns and don't have to know about pronouns until it's their child. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. All of a sudden, shit changes. Right. Mm-hmm. Because love has to come first, right? Even if you hate that they're gay, you've said horrible things about the gay community in the past because your ignorance has expressed itself that way, but it changes once it's someone you love, and especially someone you made. Yep. And I can't imagine being I know that many parents say, "Oh, I just don't want my kid to struggle." That's just it. Most of the time, it's bullshit. You're embarrassed, and you don't want to educate yourself. Okay, that's usually the reason why you're saying that.
And one of the most, you talk about found family and all that, but one of the most powerful things for a queer young person is having a parent that is going. One of the best ways to make sure that your queer kid doesn't struggle is be there to support your queer kid. Yep. Through and through.
Very true. You don't want your kid to think about suicide. Support them.
Yes. Mm-hmm. So the great thing about all of this is he spoke in first. He spoke in first person. Me, my story, this is where I'm struggling. And then he shares with us that through his struggle, he builds confidence. He goes on in that interview to say, to be free, to be themselves, to govern themselves. He's building confidence in his son. And he's letting his son know. And I often also believe that that child was raised in a house where they could go back and forth with their father, where they had that kind of relationship. And it's evident, the word, how he introduces this on the Breakfast Club by saying, that's my nigga. So, we talk about how those things matter. And so I'm almost as sure that son is giving that back to dad, to him, like correcting. Yep. I understand where you are, but respect me now. And what he also goes and says, I could not send my child out into the world to face what they have to face if I don't build them up here inside, and that's my job. And what he does is he makes it real. He takes it to the world, the comedy world, and to your point, he's now showing the world that you can deal with this in your way, but make it loving, funny. Because I know his son is in that audience, cheering him on, and probably giving him that material. We're here. Yeah. If I can do it, you can do it too. Check yourself. And he does a lot of checking himself.
Well, and he's still a big star. He still does a lot of touring and stuff like that. He didn't have to say any of this shit. We wouldn't have found out. His son is 23, 24 years old. He's living his own life. We would have never found out, So Marlon Wayans right now is even talking to a whole different community of people that probably would have never even, who the hell is Marlon Wayans? Is that guy from that black show back in the 90s? Oh shit, and he's got a trans kid? Oh wow, I could imagine more queer people saying, well, let me go see a stand-up now. That probably wouldn't before.
Absolutely. Like a person of color, whether they are Asian or whether they are Caribbean or whether they are black, like to be on the Breakfast Club, which is such a platform to talk to so many people.
One morning show in LA.
100% believe that he just changed a lot of people's opinions. They're like, well, you know, Marlon Wayans, who did Scary Movie and Living Color, all of this stuff. Like, if you can accept his kid, you're like, maybe let me think about, you know, rethinking how I'm looking at my gay child. And I used to point to people like that, you know, when I had these conversations with my mother. I was like, look, you said you like Robin Roberts on Good Morning America. If you support her, why can't you support your son?
Boy George,
like,
you know, George
she's like,
Michael.
She's not my child, you know? And I'm like, okay, because I'm your child and like you have all of these things pinned up, you know? So partially when I look at that, I'm like, I'm so thankful. And another part of me is like a little bit jealous. I'm a little bit jealous, like, you know, how hard it was to like try to convince somebody, you know, like the person that's supposed to love you the most. Of
course.
You know, so I give her Marlon, I give him so much credit for what he's doing. And I couldn't care less about the pronouns or whatever, because that's hard, you know? I mean, think of all of us.
He was stumbling and but he owned it. Like, you know, like Elimination said, like, look, I'm still trying to get over this. Again,
but we
saw this baby come out of a vagina. It's different. When you made the kid, you made this kid, okay?
But how long did it take all of us when we realized what we were to like finally articulate it, like, and settle with it, like, you know, and to expect that somebody who's from a different generation to try to like already like understand everything in the middle, you know? It's a lot of grace. I give a lot of grace to people who have a good heart that are trying to do
and
that.
And he's not afraid to mess up.
Thank you, Marlon. Thank you, Marlon.
I would be so afraid to do that.
One of the things that I've learned and through this advocacy work is once you mess up, own it. The point is when you begin to over apologize, when you begin to go write a whole paragraph when you simply could say, I'm sorry, that was my mistake, I'll do better. Versus, I'm sorry that you heard this and I won't never do it again. And now you're making the receiver feel uncomfortable. You're now not taking the ownership off of giving that person that gift of I'm sorry. You're now putting it back on self.
Yeah.
And I think that's where a lot of us go wrong. Stop, own your mistakes, use those I, me, my statements.
Learn from it.
And learn from it. And I agree with you. So I'm gonna tell you this. My mom and I had a conversation as she was on her way to leave this earth, and I kind of shared my secret. And so she couldn't respond because she was kind of in a coma. Years later, I found a note from her that says, I will love you no matter what. She always knew. And so to your point, the blessing is when you have that person in your house saying, you know what, I got you. I'm going to build you because you are amazing. And I can only imagine, because as a Wayans, the name alone, that person he never has to work for the rest of his life. He's already a millionaire. We all know this. But they have now a platform to make way for someone who's going to come from the projects, who is black and queer, to have a space in the world. And that's what's the most amazing about all
Marlon, you need to do a gay, scary movie.
Yes.
That's what you need to do, all right?